backup?
Yeah, Ali has a backup.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Backup account.
Awesome. Mohammed, would you like to start us off? Or do you want to wait a few minutes?
Is everyone in? The people who want to be here, I guess.
How many participants? Who can see the participants? Ali?
We have about 16 participants right now, 8 attendees and 8 panelists, which is I think it's a very great number.
That's not a bad number. That's a good number. I mean, they'll join in as we go.
Absolutely.
So,
they can see us. That's
all
right.
right.
I cannot see them, but they can see us.
All right, perfect. So we should probably get started then.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. My name is Mohammed Amin Noor. I'm the youth coordinator for Gateway, which is a nonprofit service that provides multiple services. We work with youths in trying to I guess help them build relationships, and we do online activities and after school activities. So today we are doing a Black's Reality, which is going to be a monthly event where we just talk about current events. For tonight, we're going to be talking about defunding the police and what it means to people, and what I guess images comes to your mind when you hear that. We hope that this could just be an open space, a safe space for unfiltered opinions, and people could just give their 2 cents on current topics. I would like this time for the panelists to introduce themselves, starting with whoever wants to start. Abbas, you could go, I guess.
I'll go. My name is Abbas. I'm a member of the COVID Youth COVID Coalition Group, which is a program by Gateway Community. I'm also a community member here in the Poland area. Yeah, and I'll pass it on to, and I'm also a USM student. I'm becoming a senior at USM, so I'll pass it on to Ladi.
Thank you very much, Abbas. Well, my name is Ladi. I'm a member of the Gateway Community Services Main 2, and I work with Main Youth Justice, Portland Empowered, and a few more different organizations in the community. And I'm here as a co-facilitator with Mohammed. It's really essential to acknowledge a space and the creation of a space like this. That's why I just want to acknowledge Mohammed, Safia, and Ali, and all the people who are here. As I'm just gonna reiterate what Mohammed said, this space is a space for unfiltered opinion, for people to voice their concerns about these different issues that we face into the community. It's a space to learn, to listen and learn and take action. So thank you all of you for being here, and I'll pass it to Amran.
Hi, my name is Amran. I'm a part of the Lewiston, the Youth COVID Coalition, and I'm also a student at USM.
Ali?
Yeah, my bad, guys. My name is Ali, he, him, his. I'm here today as a guest. I have worked with Gateway prior to this in a few different events and occasions. I'm very familiar with their work, and I'm very happy to be here to support this this program that they're starting. I'm with Main Youth Justice. I'm the Portland organizer. I'm also with Justice Law and Policy, USM. I work with Opportunity Scholars over there. I'm with Young People Caucus with Representative Victoria Morales, and lastly, I left Maine Inside Out last year, but I'm still connected to them and still work with them. I will choose Najma Ahmed.
Hi, I'm Najma. I'm a member of the Youth COVID Coalition, and I'm a student at Lewiston High School. And anyone else can go, I guess.
I think that, yeah, I think everybody has went. Well, thank you for being here. And I'll just, the next question on our agenda is why? Why are you speaking up against this topic? Why are you speaking for this topic? And our topic today is defund the police. And I guess anybody can start.
Before we start, just quick question for Adi. Can the attendees also have a chance to talk, or are we just doing it through comments? The chat section.
I think we could just do it through questions and answers. And the reason, I mean, if they do want to speak, how do you guys want to do that?
We wanted to open the floor up to them, make it more like a dialogue, if that's possible. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the webinar. If that's possible, that would be the best option, I think. Is that
Yeah,
possible?
we could do that. I'll just click allow to talk per person, and then just let me know, or just raise your hand on the attendee list, whoever's on the attendees, and then I can click allow to talk, and we'll just go down the list of people, whoever wants to speak.
You were saying, Lottie? I'm sorry, continue.
Oh, I just posed the question to the group. Why speak again? Why stand up for this topic? Why are you here? That's the question.
So,
I'm sorry.
Oh, Ali, you could go. Sorry.
Okay, I'm guessing we're gonna choose someone after we're done. But what defunding the police? I think this topic itself is it's a scary topic for majority of people in America, because we rely on the police for a lot of things. We know that 911 is the police. We think that police is the safety for us, and that's the reality that media has. That's the reality that America's majority race has, but it's not the reality for the other half of America, which is of color, because yes, police officers are used when it's major emergencies, when there are killings, when there are rapes, when there are stuff like that. But the percentages of that happening is anywhere from 2 or 3, 4%, sometimes 5%. Even Portland, 95% of the calls that were not criminal issues. So that's the biggest thing for us, I think, that I'll just touch up more on it after.
I just want to add on to what Ali said a little bit. One of the main reasons I guess want to defund the police, and I do defunding in quotes. Some people, when they hear that, they think of abolishing police force in general, and that's not what most people. I could say roughly 95% of the people, other than the fringe people, want. We just want for the government or municipal governments to reallocate funds to communities and to healthcare workers. And like Ali said, it's not only just Maine. Nine out of the 10 calls to police last year were for non-violent things. So yeah.
I wanted to take part in this conversation because anytime police brutality happens, people usually jump to reform, but that's something that hasn't helped. And you can't change the mindset of someone who's racist. So defunding is also very helpful, because people, as Mohammed said, think that defunding means getting rid of police full on, but it's not. It's just reallocating funds to different places that are needed, especially in places that don't have the help that they need. So when it comes to healthcare and schools. So I think that's why I wanted to take a part of this conversation. Nejma.
Yeah, I agree with Mohammed. I mean, defunding the police is not about abolishing the police. It's about relocating the money, the funds, to at least education, because there are many schools that are on budget cuts, and I think it would be better, instead of funding somebody who abuses their power, it would be better to go towards the education for kids to have better education, I'm guessing. And I choose Abbas.
I had a lot of discussion with people. A lot of people have, different opinions. Some are very strong opinions on what it means to defund. But what I'm here for is to allocate, the funds that, that's going to the police to more training, and because it takes about roughly 9 months for a police officer to become a police officer. And when it's like, when somebody when the person is not challenged to become something, they don't put a lot of effort in it. So that's why I'm here to talk about on ways that they could allocate the funds to more training, more ethical trainings, more racial training. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Abbas, Ali, Nairus, and everybody who's spoken. I mean, before we dive into this deep conversation, I'd like to pose a question. Have you ever experienced any forms of police brutality or racial profiling, or if you haven't experienced it by yourself, have you witnessed it? Yeah, and the floor is open to anyone to just share the experience if they feel the need to. Thank you.
That also goes out to the attendees. If you've felt any type of profile and discrimination, not just by police officers, but in general, feel free to either raise your hand. You could do that using the little icon or put it in the chat. So I just like to give a little anecdote, I guess, a little story. So I'm one of the enumerators for the census, and we do like a 20-hour training for in order for you to become a enumerator. And most of the people who do it obviously are older folks, older white folks. I'm one of the few African Americans or few people of color doing it. And after I did my training, my manager we usually do like an hour of to talk with your manager supervisor, and I did an extra hour to talk with my manager because I was Black. He didn't say like, oh, like we don't trust you or anything, and he wasn't like choosing me out just to be I guess rude or discriminate against me. It was nothing about him. It was about how people are gonna, I guess, treat you. He was talking about mostly because you're gonna be going into neighborhoods, and police officers will look at you differently because you're just going up to random houses and knocking on that, which I was kind of taken by that. I really wasn't expecting that. He's a nice guy. I just want to point that out. But just being in 2020 and still being warned, I guess, to expect those things was really shocking to me.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, for sharing that anecdote with us. Ali, did you want to go?
Yeah, I can add a quick story. I mean, I think the reality is that everyone here has faced some type of discrimination from police, because if you look in our communities are primarily Black, but the police officers are white police officers. You know what I mean? So it's like that's like already a, you know what I mean, a differential thing. Another way that you've felt some type of way, I think, like if you look at history, why were police officers made in the first place? Police officers were made to capture Black people. That's exactly why they were made. And we don't see that, right? So another reason probably why is because our taxes that we pay in the major cities, if you look at major cities, all the taxes that we pay, and we're paying the most to police officers, when we're saying police officers are the same ones that are harming us the most, like that's not public safety. That's public safety that's public profit. That's profit. That's all it is for us. I mean, for everyone else. But if we want public safety, we want it in health and human services. We want it in our schools. We want it in playgrounds. That's what we want it. We're telling you consistently, we're not the problem. We are reactions to a system, right? So if we're being attacked, then obviously we're going to react the only way we know how to react. Everything is learned behavior. And we consistently said this, and that's why criminality is so high, where 70 million people have criminal records in this country. And it's just, so I think everyone has felt some type of it. That's a person of color. And it's really tiring to, reiterate it a lot. And I guess, like now it's a good time because everybody's really listening, but we have 44 million people that are Black in this country. It's not like 1,000. It's not like 500,000, 44 million, right? And 48 million when it comes to anybody that's mixed with Black. If people are being affected at this rate, and we only have 300 million people in this country, then it's really time to like start listening up and take action.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ali, for that. Would anybody else want to chime in from both the panelists and the attendees?
I would like to chime in. Police, whenever they are called to, I've had like, I've experienced like many times where, or I've seen it where many times, where they are called to say like, Black crime versus, a white crime, or like, let's say, someone who's in an accident, let's say like, I've been in an accident, well, not an accident, but where the person who, caused the accident was at fault. And the police immediately like, came to us, he was like, who's in the car, before he even took any notes from the person, the other person who was white, the police reached out to us. He was like, who's in this person? What's their names? And the other person is just there. And then he went over, he's like, stay here, don't come with me. And then I was like, what do you mean? Like, you first approach us, so he always, the thing is, it's called, unconscious biasness. So he automatically, in his head, made up the scenario that, we are probably at fault, even though he cannot call it right there. It's the student it's the insurance that calls it. That's one of the reasons why I'm here for, for the police to have, more racial trainings, racial equity trainings, and to not just give the, badge so quickly, so yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Abbas, for that. Would anybody else want to chime in to respond to this question? Going once, going twice, going 3 times, and yeah, thank you. The next question, I think, Abbas, you really took us into a place where you're talking about, you want to talk about different ways in which we can, what defunding the police means to you, and in different ways in that could be applied. Abbas, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes, sir. One way that I had a conversation with, because defund the police, it can go into a lot of things too. It could even go in as deep as, SROs at schools. I've had this one conversation with, actually a couple conversations with, people who students of, Portland public schools, who actually expressed concerns not having an officer in the schools. I was like, I asked them why. Some of them, they said like, some of them, suffer bullying, harassment and all that. And having, they said having an officer at the school actually, made them more comfortable to, be themselves. They don't have to, hide, or they don't have to do stuff, or they don't have to, wear certain clothes. So that was one interesting topic, conversation I had. And also while I was out, at, one of the parks, I don't remember, I had a conversation with, one white person who was extremely for, the police. He's like, I support the police in every way. And then, but he was understanding, he understood where I was coming from. I told him, I told them, hey, they're not getting a lot of training, and he believed that, he said that, there's always that bad apple, in every, bunch of apples, and I said, no, that's not true, so I said, hey, all of the, every police that has to come through every academy has to, go through some kind of racial bias training. And that's why, that's some of the reasons why, the um, arrest rates are so high for the blacks, because even with, like, misdemeanors, the police, they turn that into a, felony so quick for the, for the people of color. So um, so that's why I'm here. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here on this, uh, you know, conversation, so that we can, discuss, way, because we can never, first of all, we can never get rid of the police. That's something that we will not be able to do. It's systematic, it's in place, it's institutionalized, and so yeah, I see Ali shaking his head and saying, "Can we on?"
I know Ali is reflecting on what you've just said, and he's agreeing. Believe me, I know that. Would anybody else want to chime in? What, like, when we talk about defunding the police, where are we allocating those funds? How do we make sure that this is impactful and profitable for the individual person who can benefit from this? How's this beneficial?
I really don't want to like hog the mic, and I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to really speak in it. But I kind of have to respond to this and to what Abbas had said, and I respect everything he did say. And the answer to what he said was actually what you just said, right? The answer to what he just said, like, oh, I feel safer with police officers, right? Because in the house, inside the schools, because of the bullying, right? Like with the other person. And what you just said, how do we reallocate that to mentors and to credible messengers? We don't have to instill fear into children so they don't bully each other. Because when they leave the school, they're still gonna bully each other. But if you have mentors and you have credible messengers, you have people that are consistently teaching them that this bullying is not the way to do it. It's actually love and support and care. Then that's what's gonna happen, right? So they're gonna be actually there for each other. That's the first thing. Second thing is institutionally, what was instilled between the 30s and the 70s was when they removed they created the suburbs, and they gave the loans to majority of middle class and high class white people. Low class white people and blacks were all left in the communities, right? So what happened was the loans were at $13,000 to $17,000, and people raised up to $300,000, $400,000 at this time. Everybody that was left in the communities were black or low income, right? So then what happened in the 80s and 90s was President Nixon said the war on drugs. The war on drugs, obviously, one of his constituents said that the reason, did we know that it was a lie about the drugs? Yes, we knew it was a lie. You know why? Because crack cocaine was 100 years, and then cocaine was 1 year. And crack cocaine was used by the blacks, and cocaine was used by the whites, right? So this is the same stuff that they're using in college, they're using in the ghettos. But in the ghettos, what's happening is the same police officers that are in the suburbs that had built that equity are coming into these ghettos that they don't understand. So all the police officers see is like, you guys are not doing this right, because right now I have the badge and I'm going to arrest you because this is what the law says, right? So this institution that has happened had created poverty, had created disadvantages, had underfunded our schools, had destroyed our hospitals, had gave us health issues, has given us mental health issues, had given us trauma. This institution is messed up. It's created from slavery. So when we say we can't have police officers, we can have public safety. We can do that. And guess who's going to be choosing the public safety? The people that live in the community. We can vote for our own public safety. So that's where I'll leave
that. Ali, thank you very much for that. So as in, I know you just say you've touched the question of public safety, right? And some people would ask, well, how do we ensure public safety without the police? How does that look like? And this question doesn't just go to you, Ali, but how does public safety looks like when we don't have police, if we don't have police, in terms of education, community funding, health and social services? How would all of that look like? How do we make sure that people or individuals in the community, everyone in the community is safe, especially the minority communities?
So I want to point out that within our panel of 8, we have different I guess beliefs, and there's a spectrum of how much policing we believe in. I'm like a little bit more like leaning towards Abbas. I don't believe we should obviously get rid of the police completely, but definitely reallocating a majority of the funds and expanding their training time. So me personally, I don't see I don't see like a future where police doesn't exist. Um, and I guess Ali could expand a little bit on. Do, are you saying that we don't want police at all, or what were you saying? I got a little confused.
No, we do want police, but we have to change what police are right now, right? Because they're not going to be the same police as it is right now. It should be police for every community. The communities should choose who the police should be because they should be trusted. They should know the community. For example, if somebody else comes into my community and there's a mental health, the kid has mental health and he starts freaking out, and this officer doesn't know this person, right? So he's trying to arrest him. And he's like, oh, he's fighting back, and something happens, and fatality happens. But if you're part of the community, if you're amongst the community, you know who's bad, you know who's good, you know who's causing trouble. So it's reimagining, not abolishing, but reimagining.
Okay, I get it now. So I guess we're basically like people, I guess, are getting confused and are getting stuck on the wording of most of these discussions. So we're basically saying the same thing. You basically believe in, of course, the police force might be different. You want the police force to reflect the community. Is that what you're saying? All right. I think that's what me and Abbas also believe in. And yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Mohammed, for pointing out, first of all, that we all have different perspectives, but we all come to one consensus. And that's very essential to recognize, because once, like, bringing all these different ideas and different notions together, that's what builds a stronger community, and that what builds a stronger goal. So I'd like to thank you for highlighting that. And also, I'm gonna read a few comments from the attendees. Ali, there is one person who has their hand raised, and I can go on and read the comments after the person. Ben Friedman. I can hear you, Ali. You're muted.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to allow them to talk real quick?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Ben, I think you're able to talk. We can hear you.
Okay. Thanks for having me. My name is Ben Freeman. I'm the vice president of IFF Local 740, which is the labor union that represents Portland's firefighters, paramedics, and emergency dispatchers. And I was connected to this group through Abdullahi Aliyah Gateway. Back in February, we were talking about trying to get more youth involvement with people thinking about careers in public safety. And so I've been listening. This is the first time that we've been able to join anything because we got a little derailed with the pandemic. But what the comments I've been watching since the beginning, the comments that you guys were just talking about, felt like maybe a time for me to jump in. So I know, and I can't speak, although we work with them very closely. We would love to have our group look more like the community and have more community equity in it. We are largely white males in the fire service, as well as the police department's the same. Most of us are from outside of Portland, from rural areas surrounding Portland, that got involved with firefighting and emergency medicine through like local volunteer organizations, and then came to Portland because it's one of the only places that pays for that work. And yeah, we've just been really struggling to figure out a way to get, I think what Ali was saying, that having public safety be representative of the community is really important. And the reason I'm here is because we're really interested in achieving that and finding ways to get young people from the community to consider careers in public safety. And so, yeah, we think that's really important. And that's why I'm here to talk about, just to make, start the conversation about making young people in the community aware of that as a career and a way to like make a difference and support your community. So, yeah, but I'll keep listening and keep the conversation going. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ben. We're very glad to have you here. And as a form, kind of like as a representative or as a member of the fire department and also a servant of public safety, my question would be, how do we ensure that there is accountability? Just looking beyond having like just looking beyond having a diverse group of population, a diverse demographic or a diverse population working in the public safety. How do we ensure that that there is accountability in that, and that the general population, instead of being brutalized and abused, they are receiving, they are getting the benefits of having people who are there to serve them. And I think Ben has left from the panelist. But all right, thank you very much, Ben. We were really glad to have you, and I think Ali could probably put you as a panelist if you wish to respond to the question. But we have a comment from Bilal who said, adding to what Ali said earlier, in our communities and society, the result of policing of Black bodies and devaluing Black bodies from a young age until now. We are savaged and targeted due to our race, and we need to recognize what this nation is about and be about change. There needs to be accountable in a place, and to start allocating funds for community-based organization to public safety. We need people to defund their pockets as well. And we have another question from Alex Diamond, who said, I've had some folks argue that saying what the movement is for, what the movement is for, is more impactful than saying what it is against. And what he means by what it is against is funding the police. Do you have a sense of what is the most effective way to convince people? I'm not sure if that was very clear, but I could repeat the question if people want me to.
Yes, I would just like to piggyback on what Nehru said. Basically, the most effective way to convince people is to show that, the community, needs they need the funds that's going to the police. Show them that, building a park, improving, playgrounds, building, improving, places where, improving the homelessness, community. So it could go towards a lot. So showing them that, the community needs those funds, or maybe, convince people that, hey, we don't need to, give them all this power and all this money, and all this, equipment and all this, vehicles and all this, because they're just driving around, in like, these, expensive cars, expensive equipment and all this. And not a lot of, funds are going to the community. So yeah, and also just showing them that, showing them the research that's been done, that to show that, racial disparities are happening within the police, that, the police is racially profiling Black and people of color, to show them that, because, and one of the reasons why Ben also said that, to join the force, as, from a young age, the fear of the police is built in the kids, as a young age, as a teen, the fear of the police is built in you, you know what I mean? So when you grow up and you try to decide what you want to do, becoming a police is never one of the things that you want to become, because you're just going to become one of them, That's what they say, I want to become one of them. I want to be hated by the community. One of the few officers that, that is black, they also get hate because of what's happening in the news. What's But yeah, that's what I'm just responding to what Ben said that if he wants to respond. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Abbas. I've heard uh, I've heard themes like these recurring themes, having too much power, reallocating the funds into other forms of assistance. So sorry, my younger brother's just yelling upstairs. I feel like the question always comes back to accountability when it comes to too much abuse of power. How do we ensure that the funds are being reallocated, and even if the funds are being reallocated, how do we make sure that the notion of accountability is still there? How do we make sure we hold individuals are held accountable for their actions within the police?
Sorry, my camera is acting up. But so I would like to add on to police accountability. I think the largest or probably the single most significant bill to be reversed, in my personal opinion, is something that got a lot of traction after the murder of George Floyd, which was qualified immunity. I don't know why people stopped talking about that. And like we said, we're just a bunch of kids, kids-ish. We're not really experts. So basically, qualified immunity is the thing that the bill that lets police get away with unique crimes. If it hasn't happened yet, they could, and they were doing it on the job. They could basically get away with most offenses. For example, there's this one case that always I find it unique was it happened in Texas, which was this bicyclist. He was like 100 yards away from a few officers. I think it was like around 4 or 5. They thought he was a suspect they were looking for, and they shot at him 17 rounds ish, or 17 times, 17 bullets. They killed the man. It turns out he wasn't the suspect, but they all got off under qualified immunity because this case was so unique. It hasn't happened yet. There's no precedent to it. So they said, you know what, we'll just let them off. And a few representatives and a few senators from, I think, Minnesota, and some conservatives from, I forget what state, were backing to end qualified immunity. Just nothing has happened yet. So ending qualified immunity would probably do, I think, the most to hold police accountable. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mohammed, for your opinion. Ali, do you want to go?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on a few things. And I still want to respect everyone and thank everyone for all the panelists for chipping into this conversation. I think one of the things with the qualified immunity, like police officers are the only person that can break a law. Not even like a lawyer can break a law, right? Police officers are the only people that can break laws and get away with it. Like that's, and understanding we have the most police officers in the world with only 4% of the world's population. Some countries don't even have police officers. Why? Because everyone has what they need. And the more people have what they need, the less crimes will be committed. Naturally, human beings are actually good, right? They have incentive to do good, to feel good, to be good. But the second you don't have what you need, which we live in a capitalist society where we put people down and other people rise from it, from other people's oppression, people tend to do whatever they have to do to get the needs that they need. So I think really understanding, not before we try to because we're looking at police reforming. What if we do this? What if we do this? It's not that. It's healing what's hurt. That's the important part, and that's what we never do in America. We never do that. We haven't given back reparations. We haven't given the loans back to Black and Indians back in the 30s through the 70s, when 98% of the loans that were given out were white people that have them now, which have equity. We haven't changed our history books that talk shit about Black people all the time and talk bad about everybody of color, and it's just talk about crush colonization. We haven't done any of that. So before we try to talk about, let's try to change how the police officers and let's worry about healing. Let's worry about, this is what we need to do. That is they say defund because it's like, yo, this is number one thing that's harming us. And if this is difficult for you guys to understand, then you're not going to understand the pain that people go through just to live, to try to live, right? So I think all of these just go hand in hand. It's not like separate systems.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ali. I feel like that the question is what are those concrete steps that we take that ensures that, hey, we are approaching the goal to healing the harm that has been committed. We are approaching the goal to ensure that there is accountability. And yeah, and thank you, Mohammed, and thank you for everyone who participated into responding to this. I know we had a few comments from the attendees, Sophia, who said we need citizen overview and oversight to hold police accountable. Well, thank you very much, Sophia, for that. Would anybody else want to chime in and respond to that?
Lottie, we also have a question and answer. There's a question. Do you see that?
Absolutely, I see the question, and we're gonna get to it in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. One of the reasons is, whenever a police officer is in the wrong, he has, a lot of people backing him up. Basically it's just basically you, the victim, against everybody. So the police is like have lawyers, the police force is backing him up. Even he's the officer that thinks that's right there that he's, when one thing that mind boggles me is when an officer is committing a crime, the other officers do not step in to stop him. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that they need to learn, or they need to be trained on is, hey, your officer, your coworker or your officer, your partner is committing a crime. He is killing somebody right here in front of you. He's killing somebody. You're not gonna stop that, So that's just one of the things that I want them to I know again it's just as Ali said, there has to be healing first before we move on to solutions, which is going to take a long time because people of color and Black people have been oppressed and have been suffering in the hands of the police for a long time. And when the oppressed speak up, things happen that that is not going to be in the good for the community, which is not going to be good in the eyes of America, basically. But yeah, continue. I'll pass on.
Thank you very much for that. Since we have maybe 10 minutes, we have 2 comments from the attendees, right? And I'm just gonna try to get to them before we conclude our meeting. One of the comments or question is from Kristen Segretti, who's asking, I'd like to work with people and groups to defund the police. Although I don't know who is going to do that work, do any of you know if there are people and organizations who are working on defund the police campaign? Are there any ways I can support any of your work to defund the police? And I live outside of Lewiston. Would any individual from Lewiston or who has any connection or who knows any campaign want to contribute on this?
Quick correction: we actually have till 7:30. So
oh, we have
to say that.
Awesome. I didn't know about that. Probably forgot. Would anybody want to?
So there is. We wanted to do this at the end. So there is a link. Can the attendees see the link that I shared? Okay. So there is a link I just put on there. You could click on it, and you just put in your zip code and your like information like name, first name, last name, and was it, I think zip code, right? And it sends this little card saying that you support defunding the police to people in the state house. and also Governor Janet Mills. It's really simple. It's really easy. It's like a petition basically. The more people we get to sign this, the more the people who you've elected have to do and listen to the people's voice. So it takes like 2 seconds, honestly, to do it. Just putting your name, street address, and then your phone number, and it's pretty simple. So yeah, that's one way you could get involved.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, for that resource. Would anybody else want to provide ways in which people could be involved?
I mean, Ali could weigh in because I mean he's been working in the criminal justice reforms, so he could chime in and tell us how or ways people can get involved in supporting allocating funds to where it's most effective again. So Ali, if you have any other if you have ways that we can or other people can chime in to support based in our community, because that's that's nationwide, right? That's that we're trying to support to defund the police. But how can we do that in our community, and how can we support or how can we support the defund programs or defund the police movement in our community? Ali.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, I had to step away for a second. So I mean, there are many. So I mean, it breaks up into this, right? So the systems were created like we have the government, and then we have this philanthropy money that was obviously, stolen money from over the years, philanthropy, which has millions, billions, whatever, and they fund these nonprofit organizations. So they have the government and the nonprofits consistently battle, right? And have advocates and stuff like that. So it's a little charade, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we do have organizations that are working upon like prison reform and what you call it, a lot rights for LGBTQ and all that, and all of them are actually stating the same thing, that the law is hurting us, right? The 2,000 or 3,000 laws that are created every year are actually harming our community, and it's discretionary, right? Because it's not set for everything. Like this is the only country where two people can do the same two things and one person get away with it, another person can't. So I think the fact of just defunding, I think it's just a statement, and that's a movement, but not only with the Black Lives Matter, but even racists were, are saying the same thing, saying like defund the police, because it's like too much money is going there while crime is dropping, right? But we have more laws every year and crime is still dropping, and we have mass incarceration. 70 million people have criminal records, 25% of the country. Like, what is the police doing? And it's only hurting us. So I think it's not a specific organization, even your organization or wherever you work for can actually step up to that and start contacting the legislators and the city councils and whatever to push for that.
Yeah, one obvious thing we probably should have mentioned in this start was the basic or most simplest thing to support the cause is vote. Vote this November. Vote in local elections anytime you have. For people who have the same beliefs and care about care about humanity and human decency in general. Just so vote this November and vote in general. Vote in your local and small elections.
Thank you very much. Thank you for those amazing responses and comments. This question is for Najma, I believe. Najma, the question goes as, I know that Portland recently voted to remove school resource officers, SROs, from the schools, and Lewiston has started to talk about this. Potentially funding restorative justice coordinators at all of the schools. Najma, as a student at Lewiston High School, do you have thoughts about what should happen in Lewiston?
I haven't heard anything about what they would do to take away the school resource officers, because all I've heard is that they're trying to add more school resource officers, But I disagree that they should do that, because the school resource officers do not help with anything. They are very aggressive, I'm guessing, and some of them are actually not, they don't help with anything. Like, I don't know why they are there at the school, but I think they should get rid of all the school resource officers in the Lewiston public schools, because they don't help with anything, and some of them are actually racist, and I don't support any of them at the school. So they should get rid of all of them.
Well, thank you very much, Najma, for the amazing comments. Ali, is there a possibility to open it up to the panelists or the attendees to give them the opportunity to hear from them?
Yes, there is. I want to bring Ben back on. We removed him earlier. If that's okay.
Yeah, if Ben is willing to come back, that would be amazing.
All right.
Thanks. So real quick to what Lottie asked, I'm not sure. I can't talk about what the police department does for accountability. You know, I know what we do. We don't have guns and we can't arrest people, so we have a lot fewer accountability issues. We do have on the medical side, you know, like much like doctors, we're held to standards. We have rules we have to follow, and so if anybody ever makes a mistake, there is a review process. Like if they gave an improper dose of medication, or which fortunately doesn't happen very often, but things do happen. But I can't speak to what the cops do. And to what Abbas said about, it's certainly understandable that when there's a lack of trust with the police department, sort of that cycle of growing up and not wanting to be involved. I would love to see you guys be firefighters and not cops. I mean, that's why I'm here. So yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say to that is, you know, realize that there are ways to get involved in public safety in your community that are not law enforcement. That you know, it's important to us that all public safety is represented in the community. So there are other avenues to be involved with fire, with emergency medical services. We don't have to be on that law enforcement side. So just something to consider as we go down the road. So thank you.
Thank you, Ben, and it's a great pleasure to have you here. Would anybody else from the attendees want to join us as a panel and just talk about their thoughts? You're very welcome. Please raise your hands, and Ali will do the magic and teleport you from there to here. Yeah, Ali's the magician right now. I feel like my next question is gonna be how, like, what would an ideal world look like with this issue right now that we have right now answered?
Can you be a little bit more specific on that question?
Yeah, what would success look like if this issue is already tackled? What does an ideal world look like if we're living in an area in a world where all this, like the issue of defunding the police, is already answered, responded to, where funds are allocated to different avenues?
I think more counselors and social workers in schools instead of SROs, and then making it so more funds are in places. Like, I think an ideal world, there wouldn't be police brutality, and that more police officers would have to take accountability, because it wouldn't be police officers policing other police officers. I think it would be more so like the community, because it's the community that these police officers are hurting. So why won't it be that the community says what happens to the police officer instead of them doing it to each other?
Thank you, Amran. Would you like to pick someone else?
Mm, Abbas.
Yeah, I was just about to go. We would have a community where everybody is treated equally, where every call that is made to the police would be treated equally, no matter the color of no matter the color of that person, because you see how as soon as the call is for someone with a hoodie walking in the community, um, uh, compared to somebody who's white carrying a gun. So those are two different calls, and the police would act differently. You know what I mean? So we would have a community where every call that is made to the police, or every response that the police is, every call that the police is responding to, is going to be the same, and they will be treated. Everybody will be treated the same. That is a perfect world, right? I know we are so far from it, and so yeah, and that's and also where the police, which is quote unquote a safe haven, also become counselors, where let's say like they respond to somebody who is dealing with mental illness or dealing with drug overdose or they become that first responder, who is taking the time taking the time to talk with them rather than just arrest them and put them in the back of their truck, you know, taking the time to listen to their concerns, because sometimes they overlook a lot of things. They just think to themselves, okay, I'm responding to this, I'm here to take them away. So they overlook a lot of things. So that is one of the possibilities that we can see, or outcomes we can see with this movement. I'll move on to anybody else.
Absolutely. Thank you, Abbas, for that. And I'm just gonna give you a chance to pass it to someone else. But before I do that, I'm just gonna reiterate that to the attendees that this is an open space for you to also contribute to this conversation. And the panelists right here, all of us here as a community, we're here to listen to each other. And it would be great and amazing to hear from you, your sentiments and your thoughts upon this issue. Thank you. Would you mind adding Susan on the panelist? I believe she has her hand up. Thank you. And Najma, Susan can go after you. Thank you, Najma.
You're welcome. For me, an ideal world would be no police brutality, just like Amran said. And like I agree with what Abbas said. Like the police would treat both situations the same way, whether it's a black person wearing a hoodie or a white person carrying a gun. And also there should be more equality in a perfect world, and no modernized slavery. And yeah.
Thank you, Najma. Hi, Susan. Would you please unmute yourself, and we'll be glad to hear from you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am a 60-something white Portlander, and I am so happy to be part of this tonight and to listen and see you guys. You're incredibly impressive. Everything you say resonates, and I wish there was a way to get your message out very, very broadly. And thank you for doing this. It takes a lot of courage, I think, and we all need an education. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
For those words of encouragement to our dear panelists. That was really great. I'm also going to encourage everyone else from the attendees to please feel free to participate and share your thoughts, concerns, and sentiments for this cause. And Najma, I'll give you the privilege to pass it on to someone else.
I can pass it on to Amran.
She already went.
Oh, I could go. It's fine. So I think what in the ideal world, what everyone said so far is relevant. One thing I would like to add is I would like the police force and just other community services, firefighters, the EMTs to reflect the population of the community, the makeup of the community. I would love to see, I guess, more diversity hirings, um, just because the people who go out to the community should all like understand and know the community, know the mannerisms and how the community feels about um, whatever it is, police, firefighters, and also question for Ben. I'm not sure if we should be doing questions. Just how often do when you're hiring? I'm not even sure if firefighters target um, certain groups of people, but how often do you go into neighborhoods and like try to recruit people? And do firefighters even generally recruit kids or future firemen? Is one question I would have for Ben if he wants to respond.
Thank you, Mohammed, for that. And Ben, please raise your hand if you want to respond. Oh, right there.
Okay, I allowed it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So historically, so like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, when we would try to hire, say if we were trying to hire 15 people, there would be 600 people that would apply for those jobs. And now if we're trying to hire 15 people, there's only like 40 people that show up. So just the interest in getting those jobs has dropped off a lot. So something that we talk a lot about now is getting out into the community more, because historically that wasn't something that we had to think about. But along with that, what we're trying to do to have more diversity is things like that. Like this is why I'm here, is to try to accomplish that, because we haven't historically done a good job of going to the community and making people aware of considering doing those jobs. So that's why I'm here. Also, I should be clear that I'm a representative of the labor union that represents the workers. I'm not a representative of the department. Probably there's some people in the city that would probably kill me if they knew I was doing this, but it's important to us, like as the workers, to try to recruit more and recruit from the community more. We also talk to the diversity thing is something that I'm working on, but we talk to we talk to veterans groups, we talk to the paramedic students at Southern Maine Community College. So we are trying to do better about being more proactive in recruiting, and that's so that's what I'm doing. Thanks.
If I could just comment on what Ben just said real quick. I see how you're saying that if anybody else from the in the department knew that you were kind of like talking. So what I've been recently talking to District Attorney Sarbeck and working with him like close hand. And if anybody from the ghetto, the hood, heard about me talking to the top district attorney in Cumberland County, they'd probably be upset too. But at the same time, it's breaking the barriers and having the understanding just to so we can come to a clear so. I mean, if people don't understand, then we can't come to a conclusion. So, but I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben. We do appreciate you very much for having the courage and to come here and engage with us into this difficult and complicated conversation. And I believe Bilal just said my mic is not working. Bilal, would you? I'm not sure what's going on. Bilal?
I click talk permitted now. Sorry,
Okay.
I can only do like one person, two people at a time or something.
Great. Bilal, you're welcome to unmute yourself and please partake in this conversation.
His mic is not working. Not working.
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you very well.
All right. Yeah, sorry, I had some technical difficulties, but yeah, I had a question just about like a focus group, but is there a space and time already in place to identify clear action steps or recommendations so that department funds can be redirected? Are you guys already doing this work? And lastly, hearing Ali's point on racial trauma earlier, do you know any healing practices that bodies of culture can partake in? I know that's a lot, but yeah, I don't know. But thank you guys for this conversation. It's much needed.
Thank you, Bilal. I mean, to respond to your initial question, I believe this is our first conversation on this topic, and we just created a space to just raise more awareness and bring more voices to talk about this issue and to just like put it on a platform where more people are aware of it. And I believe there's a lot of organizations in the community already working on this topic, but it is a possibility that we continue to draft clear action steps on how to address this issue. And please, you're always welcome to join us into pursuing this change. And I'll let Ali respond to the next question.
For trauma specifically and mental health, right now, like there's like little to no mental health therapists in Maine, actually, or even like or in the country. It's so rare. It's more of a taboo when it comes to mental health because we don't really believe in it. It's like, oh, you need God or whatever. It's like, go smoke over it. Sorry about that, guys. So go smoke over it, go drink over it, go do something, go to sleep, go to exercise. But it's a reality, something we need to start talking about. I think on a personal note, like people just that do their own type of therapy, they'll do some yoga, they'll try to talk to some friends and try to get like a group. And on behalf of the police specifically right now, I know Portland had created a race and equity commission, and South Portland had created a human rights commission. I know Lewiston had put in a proposal, but then the police officers teamed up and actually came after our representative for the Black community in the Lewiston Council, which is just it's like it's a lot. But I think right now, like there's a lot of progression going on, but at the same time, we do need the help of white folks. And the reason why I say that is because like one is people of color are consistently fighting this fight while fighting for their lives. And at the same time, it's a system that we didn't create. We're just suffering under, and a lot of these systems you guys benefit off of. So I think the responsibility all falls into everybody's hands, no matter what nation, no matter what culture you're coming from, and what background. I think it's the responsibility of countrymen and women to really take the step in to put pressure on the government to and city government, state government to make these changes happen for the youth.
Thank you, Ali, for that great response, and thank you, Bilal, for partaking and answering that very beautiful question. Yeah, and also the floor is still open for attendees to join, ask questions, voice their opinion and sentiments. Yeah, and is anybody else in the panelists has Amran, have you participated into responding to the question, what does the ideal world look like for you?
I did.
Oh,
like,
awesome.
I can restate it.
Absolutely. All right, thank you. Mohammed, did you go? I'm not sure who went. I lost track of that.
Yeah, but I went, but I could add a little bit more. So, like I said before, in my ideal world, is what everyone said so far. Where if a cop gets called down and there's two situations with one, the only difference is race, that he should treat both of the people the same fairly. My second main part would be like a police accountability, where we should either do, someone in this comment section suggested like a community review board, I think that's a really good idea. Get it out of the police department when it's peer to peer. Of course, there's a lot of influences. People you've been working with these people. Sometimes, like the family members you've trained with them. So there's obviously some bias in the case. And the third thing would be diversity in general. I think in whatever department it is, I don't care if it's the police department, fire department, EMTs, paramedics, whatever it is. I think it should reflect the community. I've said that a few times, but I think that's probably the most important to me, at least from my experience. I would obviously if someone if a black officer for most of the times gets called down to a community predominantly black, he knows what to expect. He knows he doesn't have the same biases. He's been through the same. He wasn't a cop always. He's obviously experiences. He's had experience with cops, so he knows what to say, what to do, and how to treat people. So yeah.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Mohammed, for those amazing comments. And lastly, I'm just gonna voice my opinion in saying that it's important that we start establishing opportunities for generative accountability. And by generative accountability, I mean ways in which we can hold both groups of people, groups and people accountable to each other. I feel like while we don't really like not acknowledging a system or a body, not having it being held accountable, that gives it surmountable power to act as its own entity. So it's very essential that we create these opportunities such as those that Sophia mentioned, in order to preserve being accountable, not being protected under this umbrella. So that's very essential. And lastly, I'd like to. I think this concludes our webinar today, and I would like to thank our amazing panelists for accepting to be vulnerable and being very courageous to speak, to stand and speak against the injustices that they see and the change that they want to see in the community. I also want to thank our attendees for taking the time to be here, listen to us, and explore ways in which they can take action. Thank you to Ben, Bilal, and Susan for stepping up from the attendees and voicing their opinion and their sentiments toward the cause, and in ways in which we can all connect. It's always essential to start conversation, because we can't really hold each other accountable without having conversation. We can't really learn from our mistakes and ways in which we can move forward without creating the spaces for having this conversation. So I want to thank Gateway Community Services, Maine, for creating a space, because really without a space like this where people are allowed to be vulnerable, we wouldn't be moving forward. So thank you very much for this. And I'll ask Ali, the magician, to conclude the meeting.
I think you did a great job at it. I think I would ask actually all the panelists to put your, if you guys want anybody to contact you, put your email or your, on the chat so everybody can get your, and ask you any follow-up questions and stay connected. Other than that, I think everybody was great in these conversations, just to start. And yeah, thank you guys. I'll leave like an extra like 3 or 4 minutes just so everybody can put their information onto the chat.
This is a great space. Thank you guys for having this space. Yeah, I don't see a lot of, I can't tell who the attendees are, but we should invite a lot more people to join. This is a great space for people to share their ideas, and it's a very important space. So yeah.
I just would like to add one more thing. So as Lottie said, this is just the beginning. We might change the format a little bit in the future, but it's just those baby steps to a greater movement and hopefully a brighter future. like to thank all our panelists, like everyone has, and especially the attendees. We really need more good people like you who are willing to take the time out of your busy schedules and listen. So thank you, guys.